Hey there, how's it going everybody? Thanks for joining my ZBrush live stream this morning. I'm just going to test the audio and the chat, make sure everything's working well. See, I believe this outputs to, let's check it out on Twitch. Give me just a few short seconds and then we'll get started. And of course there's a Twitch ad. Just let that play for a second. Alright, let me pull up the chat. This is Aiman. Got a few people on here already. James A. Powell, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining my stream. Is anyone excited for the Avengers like I am? As you can see, updated my wallpaper. This is the level of excitement I can get to now as an adult. Wallpaper, that's it. Alright, cool. Let's double check the audio. You might hear a bit of double audio for a second. Cool. Yep, let's double check the audio. Sweet, that's working. Alright, so I am on the chat for YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, so just ask any questions you have during my stream process and I'll try to jump in and answer them. If the music gets too loud or annoying, let me know. I can try to change the song or get rid of it entirely. Trying this thing called Pretzel, the Pretzel player, and I don't know. I feel like it's good for certain things, but let's try ambient. This might be good. It'll be like a bit more toned down. Alright, so let's start with the basics again. My name is Aiman. You can find out more about my work at www.aiman3d.com, and I've been a 3D artist in the LA area for about almost 5 years now. A lot of entertainment projects, a lot of digital sculpting for using ZBrush for toys, prototyping, 3D printing, games, VFX, tech. But yeah, that's Aiman3D.com. You can follow me at Akhtar3D on Instagram. Someone else has Aiman3D, which I'm going to try to get one day because I think the kids made like 9 posts many years ago and just abandoned it. Alright, I'm going to shrink this window down for a second. There's a, I'm trying to be more art forward with my Instagram, so you'll notice 2 to 3 art posts for every one personal post. Latest project I've been working on, I always do a little bit of show and tell when I start my streams, is because of Game of Thrones coming up, I kind of got intrigued and inspired to finish my Hodor sculpt that I had done, the Hold the Door sculpt, which, pull it up right here. Can't really tell from the image, I'm still painting it, but it's pretty big. Look at that. That is printed in, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 pieces on Form 2. That's the orange printer you see behind me right there. All epoxied together after I did the first round of coating, and you can see I put like a felt back on the back, and at the bottom I put like a little rubber so that it doesn't slide, and I'm planning on using it as a bookend. So basically, not really a bookend, more like a resin end, because I've got this shelf up here. Can pivot over. That's what I keep all my resin on, and you can see the one side I've got the Boxer by Steven Silver, and the other side is just junk. So I kind of wanted to move the Boxer over there and put Hodor on this side so you can kind of see him when you come in the room. So yeah, that's Hodor. Hold the door! Hold the door! Hodor! I don't know if that's making fun of special ed people or not, because, I mean, he's not really special ed. He's just Hodor. One of our favorite characters. And I got to see him DJ live. The actor that plays him, Cairn something or the other, he's a DJ. Who would have known? Really big DJ. So that's the show and tell. I'll probably keep working on that a little bit here and there, and then update you when it's all finished and painted. Another thing to show and tell is, just so you'd understand the background of what I'm doing today, these are my little Fungisaurs, those dinosaur mushroom hybrids. My wife and I came up with it and made our own toy line. We did a Kickstarter and mass-produced 15,000 toys. So we've got all these guys for sale on Fungisaurs.com as mystery blind box toys. And you can see the little one right here is named Paradox. He's like the Mario mushroom with an Amanita muscaria with like a Parasaurolophus. And you can see a bigger version of him right in the back. That's actually by James Powell, one of the people in the chat. If you want to message him and say, hey, James, make me one of these big guys. James works at Monster City Studios he runs. And he did that as a favor for me. Such a big, awesome character. And I'm planning on doing a little short film with these guys too, so stay tuned on news for that. But what I wanted to do today, and the reason I'm bringing up this character is I'm building my IP. I'm building this world, and what I want to do is, you know, grow that idea. This stream is all about 3D printing ideas to reality. And 3D printing is basically just a tool set. It's just a vehicle in order to get your voice out. You know, what is it you want to say? What is it you want to convey? What is it you want to bring in the world, see in the world? And for me, I kind of want 3D printing to be my vehicle for my ideas. And so today, what I want to do is explore an idea of what would this character look like, this Paradox, if it were older. So I did a couple of quick thumbnail sketches, you can see, of just, you know, basically all my Fungisaurs are babies. They're like just, you know, come out of the ground as little mushrooms, and then because they spore, wherever they land, they come up like little mushrooms, and then they pop off and start walking around, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger. So what would this character look like at its, you know, teenage years, at its full height? And that's what we're going to explore today in the stream. Alright, you know, push this stuff off to the side, open up the Restream chat. Alright, got a few more people on the chat now. Hello from Brazil, Raul, what's up? Muito obrigado for joining. And alright, James asking, will you be partaking in the Form 3L fun? Ooh, that's a good question. I really want to. So for those who don't know, the Form 3 and the Form 3L are new printers that just launched as of, I don't know, day before? Yeah, 2 days ago. And it's kind of a big deal in our community because, you know, Formlabs is a solid 3D printing company. They've got a lot of good customer service and new printers. So this one is shipping in June, the Form 3, and that's basically slightly bigger than the existing Form 2. And apparently it's got a completely new kind of stereolithography technology called low-force stereolithography. So they're guaranteeing better quality, faster prints, and just less failures, because the way they're saying it works is that there's a whole parabolic mirror at the bottom which a laser bounces off of to give an even coat for the entire build area. So usually with stereolithography printers, the center part is going to be more detailed than the outer parts. But apparently they're saying they fixed that. Also, they gave me a referral code, Form 3 S3RV8R. I'll try to write that in the chat. S3RV8R. There we go. And that's a referral code for a Form 3 at $500 off. So they're giving a $500 discount on their printer if you use that referral code. So that's kind of a huge discount. The printer is about $3,500, so you're going to get it for about $3,000, which is a solid discount. So I'd say check it out if you guys are interested in 3D printing, and I highly recommend these printers. I don't know if I'm going to get a Form 3 because I'm kind of excited about a possibility of getting a Form 3L. So let me show you the difference since we're on the topic. Do a little bit more show and tell. I'm going to pull this tab up. Let's go to videos and type in Form 3L. Alright, so here you can see really briefly the difference. The Form 3 is about that big. The Form 3L uses the same LFS technology. It's just much bigger. Alright, so here, let's just see the video. Or move forward. There you go. You can see the size comparison on screen. This talks a bit about how the LFS technology works, what I was talking about, that parabolic mirror at the bottom to bounce the light. So you get an even coat all the way throughout, and with the laser basically, rubbing up against the top of the tray, it's supposed to yield even better, cleaner, faster results. So that's the Form 3. Now let's move forward in the video a little bit. To check out that beast. Look at that beast. You pop the lever at the top and you can slide out your print, but that is a high resolution print that's pretty much accessible for people, regular people. I think it's about $10,000. But I'm excited for that. That is massive. So I may or may not end up getting one of those. You may or may not see those behind me one of these days. But yeah, if you're interested in getting a Form 3, there's a $500 discount, referral code there. Moving on. Today's topic, how do we make this character look older? So we're going to jump into ZBrush, pull up the file that I have for this character existing, and then we'll try to sculpt some variations of it at different sizes and heights. Ryan Weirdy on here. Holy crap, that's big. It is, right? It's massive. A lot of the big printers tend to go for, I don't know, 30K, 50K, over 100K. So it's exciting to see that, high resolution printer there. And to me, the coolest part of it is one of the things that they briefly mentioned was the ability for you to have support removal, be a lot faster because it'll have smaller supports. I've used EnvisionTech SLA printers or DLP printers in which it was really easy to remove the supports, and support removal is kind of a pain. So that's, I'm hoping, will be the next big revolution in 3D printing. Alright, so I've got ZBrush open here. Here's my file with my paradots. That's what we call them. I'm going to go into the materials mode here, not RGB, just material, and do a color fill object, so it's all this skin shade material. I think I changed some materials when I had done the render on Keyshot. Alright, let's see what else is in this file. We've got just the eyes, that'll be useful. Just the body. We've got just the layer of the white dots peeking out, and then the full character. We've got the merged version of it all. And here's a change that I had made through prototyping, through 3D print, and then checking it out. So you'll notice if I flip back and forth, the legs get a lot thicker, the front legs. Now, this basically, stylistically is a good choice. Dylan Eckren does this in a lot of his work, for example, the rounded, thicker, baby kind of limbs. But also, when I did the 3D print prototype of this first one and dropped it, that's the parts that broke. And so I knew when I was going to do mass production for these guys, I wanted to make sure that everything was less likely to break. And that's what 3D printing is really, really useful for, is prototyping, testing, making sure you get it looking the way you want to. Now this tall version of Paradox, like the full size version, I may end up printing, obviously not at a full scale because it'll be the size of an actual Parasaurolophus, which would be, I don't know, 15 to 20 feet tall. Right now I'm just going to print it about yay big, maybe like 5 to 6 inches. But first we have to sculpt it. So that's the plan. Got Zasinaru Kitsune on Twitch. Hey, how's it going? Okay, sweet. Alright, we got a bunch of people in here now. Let's get rolling. Yeah, and once again, if you have any questions about my process, just say it in the chat and just let's jump in. Winston Eakin on YouTube, heyo. Yabun Kok on from Singapore, hello. Cool. Kurt Boutier in here, former student of mine. What's up, Kurt? I've hired Kurt on multiple projects now because he's an awesome modeler. Alright, so I'm going to get started. First, I kind of just want to play with the proportions and think about the whole piece overall. So I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to go to the document and I'm going to go to my range and just crunch that. So basically it just becomes a dark gray background. My user interface is custom, so it looks slightly different than yours. And also I've got a bunch of, here, let me resize this so you can see. I've got a bunch of buttons at the bottom. Apologies for the crinkling. Just want to make sure you can see all my interface. There we go. Cool. Alright, so I'll sculpt like this. So I'll start by duplicating this and I'll save this on my desktop. I'll call this Paradots folder. And how should we start this? Well, let's start with a little bit of basic analysis. Why does this character look like a baby? It's because its head is pretty big in comparison to its body. So that's the first step. The head is pretty big. The eyes are also very large. And this is kind of true no matter how, I don't know, what species you go across. You'll notice kids tend to have their eyes a lot bigger. And it's not just to make them look really cute so we don't eat them. That's part of it, biologically speaking. But their eyes develop, almost to the full size in the womb. And so when they come out, their head and eyes are pretty big. And then when they, start growing, the eyes don't grow as much as the rest of the body does, because the rest of the body grows a lot. So as this character gets older, the eyes are going to stay the same size, but the rest of the head is going to catch up and the body is going to get bigger, so this character is going to seem a lot taller. Alright, I'll try to answer questions as we go. On Twitch, Crasio is saying, what printer do you use? Do you make your own supports? If you're using an FDM printer, Slicer one's okay. So Crasio, for my printers, I use a Form 2, a Formlabs Form 2, and I use a Raise 3D N2 Plus. So that's there at the bottom, the really big one right here. Here. Make that screen a bit bigger so you can see. That guy right there, that's 12 inches by 12 inches by 24 inches. So that can print really big in FDM. As for supports, I basically tend to use the software supports, but sometimes you have to come up with custom ones. You always need to for FDM more than SLA. Good question. Alright, so to start this off, I'm going to adjust the whole body proportion. Looks like the eyes are on their own subtool. Yeah, this whole mesh is still made up of a few different pieces, but we'll kind of disregard that for now. I'm going to go to my mask lasso and just select the head. So I've masked the head. I'm going to make sure I get all of this hanging part, and maybe try to unmask some pieces. That's just by holding Control. And I don't need this to be too precise, but I just kind of want to be a little careful. There we go. Now, first one I want to experiment with is the idea that this character is going to start standing more vertically. So instead of standing on its 4 legs, it might be standing on 4 legs. On 2 legs. So while you do that, I'll pull up Parasaurolophus, and let's take a look at some of the images that come up. So this is the dinosaur that this character is based off of. The only thing that I'm doing is, hybridizing it with the mushroom. Alright, so got another question here. I had Craig Kelly on Twitch. How did you first start 3D modeling? That's a good question. Back in Maya in 2003, it's been a long journey. And I started ZBrush in 2006 or 7, I believe. I think it was 1.5 at the time. So yeah, I've been sculpting for a while. Yeah, I guess industry-wise, I got my start in advertising because I lived in Chicago, and commercials and advertising is all there was there. and slowly made the jump towards LA, started doing more entertainment stuff, and now trying to build my own IP. Alright, Yap Boon Cook asks, do you advise to print big model at one go or print in different sections? Always print in different sections. I can't stress this enough. Slice and key your model into as many pieces as you can, just so you avoid failure. It's easier to glue something together than to reprint something really, really big. Also, big prints take a long time. Alright, so let's take a look at this character. Here's an idea. As it gets older and taller, the hands and the feet start looking pretty different. Now this is a character that's able to walk on its front legs as well, but as it gets older, it starts being able to be more upright. And I like the idea of, you know, the human characters in this world being able to ride these, you know, creatures. So having them be vertical as a possibility is a great idea. Have any of you guys and gals seen Dinotopia by James Gurney? So Dinotopia is all about, let's see if we can find larger images. Dinotopia is all about a world where it's kind of a lost world kind of island where humans and dinosaurs learn to coexist and live together. And they basically, you know, ride the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs do farming. The dinosaurs actually can talk and communicate with humans in dinosaurian languages. But I love this idea, and it's such a great reference for me. And here's something similar to what I'm thinking. Like, this is an iguanodon, I believe. You can tell by the thumbs, but there's a character riding them. I love this also. This is the Dinotopia movie, or I guess it was a TV series, 3-part or 4-part TV series, starring the actor from Prison Break. And the dinosaurs think better when they are walking, so they actually walk on this treadmill to turn the pages of the books and scrolls that they want to read. Fascinating world that the guy built. But what I want to do is explore the idea of the character being able to be ridden. So let's continue. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is, now that I've got the head selected, I want to make sure I'm selecting all of the head, start moving it around. And we'll notice as we're doing that I've got the mask selecting some other parts as well. That doesn't matter. Yeah, masking can be a bit tricky. You want to make sure that you get all of the parts that you want completely masked. Whoop. Now this is just going to be the first step, and then we'll keep digging deeper. And we get that bottom piece as well. Alright. Now I'll select the Move brush. There we go. We've got everything selected the way we want. And we'll just give him a very long neck for a sec. So this character as a baby is a pretty anxious character. But as it gets, older, bigger, maybe it gets less anxious. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of it staying anxious and kind of worried all the time. But for now, I'm just going to kind of sculpt it at pose. Alright, so there's step one. Next, let's adjust the whole body. And we can think about what this character would look like. I'm just going to start using the Move brush to start moving some pieces around. Now you'll notice my move brush doesn't actually get very big, and I need to grab bigger chunks. So I'm going to go to deformation, and I'm just going to size the whole character down a couple of times. And this will allow me to get my move brush as big as I want it. And I'm going to make large scale changes. So let's grab that tail, extend it out. Let's grab those legs, extend them out. And the sculpt is going to break. There's no way to avoid the sculpt completely breaking unless I try to transpose every part of it. But I'm not going to do that because that would be a lot of work. This is going to be more of a freehand concept style sculpt. Now let's explore some proportion changes. Grab this area again. Control tap to adjust the mask. We can make sure that we're not selecting anything we don't want to. Now let's move some of this body up. This is what I love about ZBrush, is you can kind of just jump in, even take an existing model and start resculpting, reshaping, thinking about the anatomy, and just go. Thinking about how this character's feet would actually work. I like it when I give him like a slight beer belly kind of thing. Makes it a kind of cuter character. I'll pull that chest out a little bit. So this first one, let's just explore this character being a lot more vertical. And then later on we'll explore slightly different version. You can see I'm jumping around, bouncing from different views, so I can try to create curves in every single angle. I'm going to pull up some more reference of what the parasaur looks like, just so I can, get a better approximation, not just make it look like what my imagination thinks, but also based on a little bit of anatomy, a little bit of the paleontology that we have on these creatures. And as you can see, I'm trying to keep the pose pretty dynamic, just so it doesn't get too static. When I was starting this, I was wondering, should I do this in T pose or relax pose? But this exercise is about finding the character, and for that it might be better to do it at a pose. Larger changes. Start changing the proportion of the heads as well. I'm going to go and shift click on the eyes, go to my subtool, and then split hidden. And what this will do is it'll basically pop the eyes off onto their own subtool. And now I can turn those on and off. But the real advantage is now that I sculpt the body, the eyes won't get sculpted along. So I can really, think about what I want to do and not mess with the eyes. I'll do the same thing for the eyelids, and this is happening because they all have their own poly frame. You can tell it's a different color from the rest of the body. So I'll split hidden again. So there's the eyelids. There's the eyes. Now I'm free to mess with proportions. Alright, so as this character ages, that duck-billed nature should start coming out a bit more. They were called duck-billed dinosaurs for a reason. We can try to play with that a bit. And I definitely want to retain the appeal. It's got to be a cute character, even if it's older, if it's taller, it doesn't matter. You can still find an appeal for pretty much any character. Now, appeal doesn't have to mean cute, it can mean horrific. But there's a horror appeal as well. Got to find it. So majority of this I'm just doing sculpting with the move brush. Might throw in a little bit of inflate here and there. And I'm switching brushes using hotkeys. So I've got move mapped to my V, and you'll kind of see it switching up over here. You guys use hotkeys? You should. Really can speed up your workflow. You can tell I'm just trying to add curves from different angles. So kind of have an S going on from the top, like there. Also want an S going from the front to back. So I can try to play with that a bit more. I do like what happens when I give this character a bit more bulk. Like he's a bit more bottom heavy. But I don't know, I do kind of want them to be lean also, so not as lean as say a raptor would be, but able to move around. Let's take a look at some reference for these legs. I do like the short stubby legs. It makes it a lot cuter, but that would also make it a lot harder to walk around with. Alright, let's take a look at some of these questions that have been coming up. Let's see. Alright, David Krentz on Facebook. These are cool dinos. I have a dino series on SW. Not sure what SW is. Shapeways. Let's see, here we go. Let's pull up David Krentz Parasaurolophus. Let's see if it's any good reference. That is very cute. Nicely done, David. I torn between the Form 3 and the Sprint Ray Pro. That's a good question. And it's not even the only one. There's another one, the really big one that was on Kickstarter recently. I'm going to take a look and find that as well. Tomas Whittlebox, hey, how's it going, Tomas? Thanks for tuning in. Tomas is also on here as a presenter for ZBrush Live. So if you go to pixelogic.com, ZBrush Live Presenters, I'm going to put that in the chat. You can see all awesome, live streams from Shane Olson, Ashley Adams, Michael Pavlovich, all these awesome artists. There's Tomas, and you can check out past broadcasts and schedules. There's me right there. And so if you go into mine, you can see all manner of different sculpts and prints and stuff that I've been doing. I've got 4 pages worth of them now. So starts out, you can see me concepting some new Fungisaurs. I do the whole Aquaman costume cosplay thing. So a lot of stuff in there to see. Alright, so that's cute. And I see you've got a lot of the longer limb thing going. Let me look up more of the Parasaurolophus reference again, wherever it is. There. Alright, so it looks like this character is meant to have a much higher joint for the ankle. And that's pretty consistent across multiple references. So let's do this a bit anatomically proper and extend those legs up higher. Pull this reference off to the side. You'll hear my dog barking from time to time. There's literally nothing I can do about that. He's a corgi, and they want to protect you and alert you of everything at all times. Alright, so I'm going to try something big now. I'm going to move the whole body. You know what? No, I'm going to do something simpler. I'm going to duplicate this so we have a backup, and then I'll do the bigger change. And I'll grab those legs, soften that mask, and just pull that down. And now we can play again. Now let's give this character an actual tail. And now we can see there's the more differentiation between the forearms and the back arms. Also, as this character gets bigger, I feel like this crest that it's got should also appropriately scale. So let's select that. Let's scale it up. Now this mushroom tends to grow pretty round, but for the sake of this character, I feel like it would be cool if it was a bit longer. He looks angry right there. It's definitely not an angry character, so let's adjust these eyebrows. Let's start adjusting these curves again. Strange noises coming from my mic. You guys hearing any interference? Let me know. Okay. It's like he's got little flippers right now, but we're basically identifying where the knee joint is, where the ankle joint is. And obviously their anatomy is slightly different from ours. Switch to the clay brush, or clay tubes, and really mark those landmarks. Same thing for the hands, I guess. Give him some proper fingers again. Okay. Cool. So this one is just much more of an, an elegant one. You can keep messing with the proportions and think about, would this character be... This is more of a teenage version of this character, I feel, than a full-grown one. So we're going to keep playing with it until we can find the optimum. Hope you all are sculpting along with me. I have ZBrush open on another window. I don't know if that's common. I've always worked with 2 monitors, one on the right for my reference and then one for the main screen. And my main screen is a Cintiq 27 HD right now. Anyone rocking the 3 monitor setup? Some stronger legs going on. Glenn Slingsby says it would be seriously helpful if these live broadcasts could somehow have closed captions for the hearing impaired. That's a good point. Yeah, if you simply are watching somewhere and you don't want the volume up. Yeah, because I'm dropping some knowledge here and there. Some good stuff. Oh, I feel like even without volume you can get a sense of the workflow that I'm using here. My workflow is pretty straightforward. The good thing about sculpting like this, whether it's for 3D print or not, if it's just concept, I don't know. I always like to differentiate a little bit because when I am sculpting for 3D print, like I'm slowly starting to, think about already with this character, you've got to make it look good from all angles. You've got to change it up so that it reads well. And you've also got to think about it as an engineer. Will this character be balanced? Will it be able to stand upright? And so I'm slowly bringing this one tail down so that there'll be 3 points of contact on the ground. Things like that. I'm going to grab some geo as well. Make sure I got all of it on that side. Maybe not there. Let's see what happens if I kind of move this forward a bit. Yeah, I think this one's fine. It's the other leg I wanted to move. So masking can be very helpful in your posing workflow. Whoop, whoop. There we go. And small change like that can really make a huge difference. Actually, I'm going to keep the mask active as I sculpt this leg a little bit more. Using inflate to kind of pull in parts, expand other parts. Pretty bulbousy right now, but that's okay. I will end up Dynameshing soon. I actually haven't needed to just yet. But probably a good idea to do so now. This is what I mean about thinking about 3D printing. I'm sculpting in orthographic mode, and I want to make sure that this character is able to stand. So I'm making the legs a bit bigger intentionally, even if that doesn't serve the design, because I know I need this character to be able to stand. Alright, let's save scene before we move too far ahead. I'm going to duplicate this one. Kind of have it on, but scale the size down again. So we can get a sense. So that's basically kind of like a baby to this is more of like a teen. Then we'll do like an older version as well, like the oldest version. Alright, now I need to start Dynameshing because I'm starting to have trouble with the existing geometry. It's fighting me. And it's also kind of hard to smooth because this has got 1.5 or 1.6 almost million polys in there in the scene. And I need to be able to smooth. I'm adjusting the pose. on the fly here. Now, part of me thinks it would be better if the character's foot is facing that way. Another part of me is just looking for a more dynamic pose. Yep. Sure don't grab any of the other leg. Yeah, I think that'll be better. Looking a bit more at the anatomy of these creatures, it's kind of like horse anatomy. They've got that one big muscle right there connecting those forearms to the rest of the body. Make sure I show that. Easiest way is to just do a little line right there. Kind of like a trapezius. Let's mess with these proportions again. Just to see what would happen. It's so weird to see the character just smiling like that. You can see the eyes are getting to be smaller and smaller part of the character now. I'm going to go ahead and combine those. The eyes and the eyelids. And just scale them a bit. So they're even smaller. Just rotate just a smidge. And let's also only move the other one so that it's out. As long as they stay kind of in line with each other, it's fine. And then we can get back to the fun sculpt. It's kind of like horse-like, like a steed. Just fitting, because that's what I was imagining. I feel like this needs a wrist as well. I don't think they have thumbs. I don't think parasaurs have thumbs. I'll have to double check that. Do parasaurs have thumbs? Alright, let's see if we've got any other question. Let's see. Well, guys, here saying you just bought ZBrush for $500 educational. I feel hungry and poor already. Trust me, this one purchase is hopefully going to pay off. It has for me. But I guess anything only pays off as much as effort you're willing to put into it. Thinking about the anatomy again. Kind of like a deltoid here. Bicep here. It's about finding it and then just making the insertions. Obviously don't want the creature too bulky, bodybuilder-esque either. It's good to find these landmarks. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and save in Dynamesh. Trying different expressions, different faces, different silhouettes. More of an underbite, less of an underbite. Oh, I said I was going to Dynamesh and I didn't do it. Let's go ahead and do that. Alright, 128 resolution. Let's see what happens. Unsurprisingly, the top layer is kind of blending in with the bottom one. That's 66K polys, a bit low. Let's change this to, I don't know, 300. You got 376K polys, but yeah, that's actually a pretty good amount. going to find the center line for that stomach and that underbody. And then let's take that all the way through the tail as well. Same thing up at the top. Let's find the top line, kind of like a spine. This character feels like the perfect character to navigate around the world with, because most other creatures wouldn't even dare try to eat it, because they all know that Amanita muscaria is poisonous. But that, I guess, doesn't stop everything. Some humans try to eat Amanita muscaria, this Mario mushroom, just to get high, because humans like to get high on everything. I think there was a Vice documentary about that one. Now that it's Dynamesh, it's a lot easier to work with because the geometry is not fighting me. I can really go in and add in everything I want. Might add in some hints of anatomy here and there without really going overboard. Got to do the duck leg thing. As the one thing we can do more of as the character ages, we can add more details. Coming up on the 1 hour mark. I'm going to take this stream to just 2 hours. As usual. We'll see how far we can make it in just those 2 hours. I like that. Just a little bit of details are helping it take form. More believable. Thinking about some wrinkles as well. As the tail bends in one direction, it should wrinkle up in the other. We don't want too many wrinkles, just enough to get the point across. Come back and hit this leg as well. It's been kind of ignored. And now that I have Dynamesh, I can Dynamesh kind of at whim, and it won't really damage anything. For these knees, I think I'll actually define them a bit. See if that helps. I feel it helps a bit. Obviously inventing some of this creature's anatomy as we go. Not an expert in paleontology. But basing it off of other creatures and animals that I've sculpted in the past. And again, also pretty consistently thinking about 3D printing and engineering. I don't know, do parasaurs have calves like we do? Calves. Probably slightly different ones. I do like to over-sculpt on anatomy and then refine though. It's much easier that way. You can just smooth out the parts that you don't want anymore. Keep the part that you like. Slowly but surely finding the shapes, the forms. This neck doesn't feel right yet. Let's add some more detail there. You see me adding those crevices and then smoothing them out. What's more important is the ones that help define the anatomy. Kind of like wrinkles like this. Little shelves and all. Got some more questions on here. From Gamusari on Twitch. How did you figure out the production process of making toys, like the manufacturing part of it? And then David Krentz asks, you should consider the baby the adult and make a baby version of that. That's a good question. That's a good way of thinking about it. Alright, let's turn off solo. So David Krentz's suggestion is to think of that is the adult and then make an even babier version. No, you're right. I have to do that because that's kind of the first sprout, you know, how it looks as it just hatches. The hatchling, so to speak. But it's good to think about if you're developing an IP, if you're developing a world, what is the life cycle of these creatures? What is... You need to basically show everything. I found 3D printing can be a great tool for pitches because it's far better than like a napkin sketch. You can go to a pitch at, you know, Netflix. You can go to a pitch at Sony, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and then just plop it on the table like, bam, this is what I want to make. And so before I go do all of my pitches, I want to be ready. I want to have everything developed to a point where I'm satisfied with it all. Alright, same thing here. Let's go ahead and add those bird feet. You want to keep it organic, you want to change it up, have a lot of variation, that's the secret. If you see anything too symmetrical, it doesn't feel organic anymore. Alright, and for the bottom, since we will be 3D printing this eventually, kind of want to flatten it out. Let's see what happens if we do that. Not ideal. Want to make sure that we have the model more flattened out before we do that. So easy way to do this is to first save. Okay, yeah, and to answer Gamisori's question, how did you figure out the production process of making toys, the manufacturing of it? Let's see. Well, the first step is what you see. It's just sculpting and getting everything feeling good sculpt-wise. And then after that, you print and prototype. So you 3D print your characters and you test them. You see what they look like. You test the balance, you test the weight, you test the everything, the engineering of it. After that, you can start reaching out to toy factories and getting quotes for mass production. And that's a very different world if you're not familiar with it and you're doing this all for the first time. It can be a bit scary and challenging. I recommend asking around, because that's what I did. I asked pretty much all my friends in the toy industry, everyone I knew, for their recommendations, who to go to, who should I hire to do my toys, and then get quotes from all of them. If you can, meet them. So I ended up going, actually asked a bunch of my toy industry friends like Eric Sosa and really a bunch of people to connect me with their manufacturers, and a lot of them did. And the connecting was simply done on WeChat. A lot of these manufacturers are based in China. They've got decades of experience and tool sets and knowledge on how to achieve anything. And I ended up actually getting a recommendation from a friend of mine in Chicago who isn't in the toy industry at all, but he knew a guy who knew a guy that knew a sourcing agency, and we ended up using that sourcing agency because they, one, gave me the best rate. Two, they can get really specific. They found me a factory that specialized in making dinosaur toys. Like, that's how specific you can get if you go through a sourcing agency. And three, then they handled the communication with the factory and everything, so I didn't have to, because that would have been really hard because I don't speak Chinese. And then I had to fly in a couple of times and monitor the production and make sure everything was up to standards. Like, I didn't really want well, not really, I really didn't want a factory that had like child labor or was not up to standards, health standards and such. See, am I in perspective mode? Is perspective on? Yeah, it is. That's why everything feels so wonky. I'm going to undo a little bit. Make sure my perspective mode is off when I do these clippings. And yeah, if you want to go learn more about my factory process stuff, you can go to my Kickstarter. Let me pull that up. Fungisaurs on source on Kickstarter. That should bring it up. Alright, so here's the can you see it? Yes. Mystery Box Toys and AR mobile game. We're still developing the AR mobile game. You can see a little short animation that I built. The characters, gifts of pretty much everywhere we traveled, we took these characters and took some photos. Our offerings, the merch. In any case, you can see, how we went about this. Like, I started hitting the different shows like Designer Con and getting our toys out there, making, just the prototypes to see if people would like this IP and brand, and they did. They responded really well. There's some development on the game, bringing the characters to life. Those same ZBrush sculpts that you see, just done in T-pose, actually rigged up and animated. And let's see, let's go to the updates. Kickstarter is now fulfilled. Website is live. 1 year anniversary. Toys have arrived. Let's see. I think this is the one. The toy production mega update. So this is me at the factory in Hong Kong. Or from Hong Kong, we took a train to Shantou province. And this is actually meeting. Oh, there. At the factory specializing in dinosaurs. The guy who runs it, who made us tea, he's a total dino nerd, which made me immediately like him. Here's the tooling, the metal tooling that can make 4 Fungisaurs at a time. There's the first prototypes. You can test the flexibility, test the material. There's the painting process. So cool to see like 30 people working on my toys. They let me paint a couple. And then the final step, the packaging and shipping it out. And it's, at the end of the day, it's a people business. So you have to get to know the people. You have to make friends with everyone. You have to go out to dinners and really, be social. That's what any industry is about. And last step is figuring out your marketing and your distribution strategies. And we're still developing all of that. First time doing toys, so there's a lot for us to learn. Okay, here we go. Flattening on the bottom. That's not, it doesn't have anything to do with the concept. That's just so I can make sure that I can get this stuff printed and standing, freestanding. You're welcome. Yeah, if you have any questions about this process, just reach out to me and then I'll be happy to answer more, connect you with my sourcer and stuff. I was really hesitant to connect people with them at first because until I had received my toys and I'd seen the quality, I wasn't sure if they were going to be good. at the end of the day, it's a risk you take, you know? It's an expensive risk. Because mass production, you need mass quantity. Everyone has MOQs, minimum order quantities. So minimum order quantity usually for toys is something like 2,000. So there's a lot to make. 2,000 per unit. The pinch brush. Let's fix this neck that we've been ignoring for a little bit. Kind of like the idea of these rips becoming more of like a hair or a mane or something. Just experimentation, really. The design process is filled with wrong direction. Really, any process is filled with failure. I'm a big believer in that. You've got to fail miserably many, many times until you figure out what's right. And for 3D art, that's particularly true. You kind of have to figure out what it is you want to do. What it is, what kind of work, what kind of everything. And you learn that by just failing a lot. I've made so much bad stuff. It's cool to find an idea that you feel has potential, though. That's what I feel about my Fungisaurs. It has a lot of potential. Especially now that I have some time to think and write and grow the IP, think about the brand. And not just the brand, really the stories I want to tell using these characters. So hopefully one day you guys will see a TV show. If I can figure that world out. Which I can, given enough time. Kurt saying failing the only way to learn. Yeah, you're right. The more you fail, the quicker, the faster you grow. Stephen Anderson, thanks for joining on YouTube. PewDiePie, always a tablet. I don't understand the reference, but I'll have to watch more PewDiePie, I guess. Isn't he kind of like a big, famous, controversial YouTuber? I think so. At least I know that much. Steven's on here in the stream team as well. The ZBrush stream team. Dream stream team. And he's an excellent modeler over at, I believe, Disney these days. DCP, maybe? No. At Disney Interactive. No, not that either. Disney's got so many companies. What is this? Imagineering, that's what it is. Beastback is saying, can you tell how the app knows where is the printed model? Is there a chip in the toy? Now that's an excellent question. So we're developing an augmented reality app that'll be able to recognize the toys just through object recognition. So augmented reality, object recognition, these algorithms are getting a lot better and faster every year. So we're kind of a guinea pig for Unity and Vuforia and a few other people to try to test to make sure this app and this technology has merit. So I can show you how it works. Actually, do I have a toy on me? No, I don't have any of those on hand, but I can show you a video if you're interested. So I think I have that saved here. I just threw it in my sort folder because there's a lot of things to sort. Let's see here. This might take a second. There we go. Alright, so this is the app that we have developing right now, and you can go to the Scan Toys button and you can try to line up the guide with the toy, and you can see when you do it properly it recognizes it and can drop the character in place. Now this is kind of just the basic functionality. We're not even going to be using it for this purpose. The purpose will be to, as soon as you scan it and it unlocks it, maybe it goes to a separate scan guide, so 2 or 3 guides to prove that you have the toy, and then that'll unlock that character and throw it back into the character select screen as now an available character. So now you have that character to drop in AR anywhere you want. So basically the scanning functionality is only to unlock the character. If you don't buy the toys, you can just buy the characters in the app, in-app purchases. But I'm hoping this will encourage people to buy the toys. So yeah, still in development. Hopefully we'll get some seed funding and knock that out of the park by the end of this year. If not, it'll probably take till GDC next year. Just being realistic. But we'll try our best. Right now it's just a small team, me, my wife Fa, doing all the UI, all the art direction, all the design, and then our programmer Zach. He's an excellent programmer, but yeah, he's only human, trying to do the work of 10 people. Alright, so this is looking good from a few angles, but there's a few angles that just looks so super janky, like his head is just way off kilter. So we need to move a few things. So I'll select my big brush, try to move, make big changes. Because you got to make sure this is looking good from all angles. It's a duck-billed dinosaur, so I kind of want to have a broad schnoz. You can lose some of those cheeks. Too much cheek. Is there such a thing as too much cheek? Just simplify it a little bit. If it is an older character, we can think about adding some wrinkles. See how many wrinkles. Always overdo it and then tone it back. Get this other cheek out a bit as well. Let's have that cheek kind of go into the jawline. That looks a lot more noble. Inflate all of those. So playing with the ideas and figuring out how this neck and head should be. Obviously, it's all invention, but it can be invention. You know, there's a method to the madness. Always a method to it all. Same thing over here. Define that cheek a little bit. Define that jawline a bit. Let's see, I've got it up, down, up, so let's do the same thing here. Up, down, up. There's one good thing about sculpting in symmetries. You can get faces a lot more accurate, but that's alright. Trying to find an expression that I like for this character. So this part is always a bit of back and forth until you can figure it out. Also good to sometimes just look away, work on something else entirely, then come back. This is definitely part of my process. A lot of looking away at other stuff and then coming back. Yeah, a lot of times people don't get that, but if you go to any game studio, animation studio, you'll always notice people are, you know, have to take breaks. They have to walk around. They have to browse the internet. They have to play some mobile games. They have to jump up, play some Beat Saber or something. It's all about getting your freshest eyes on things sometimes. So, big proponent of bouncing around your model. Also keep things from getting stagnant, you know? You're going to do a better job. It'll be more fun too, if you're not stuck on the same problem forever. Sometimes you have to be stuck on the problem until you solve it. There's nothing wrong with that either. Yeah, this reads a lot better now. Still a bit wonky. It's hard to find that right position of that head. There we go. It's a lot better. There we go, get that right. Get that trapezius more in line. And I'm making a mistake here by sculpting with color information on. Sometimes it's a lot better to just look at the form. So let me go to colorize under, let's see, tool, polypaint, colorize, turn that off. Just look at it with like a sculpting material. And this way we can really refine the form and shape without getting distracted by all the color detail. Also, I'm sculpting a bit high poly just because I'm working from an existing model. But it's a down now. It's about 400K now almost. A lot better than it was. But this helps me tremendously just to be able to see things a lot better. Thinking about the surface texture a little bit. I might end up getting rid of it, but it's good to, in this concept stage, to figure that out. Do you like it or not? I feel like if it helps define the forms and shapes better, it's successful. It's a good thing. Also, I can define how the skin is pulling on different parts. Like this area would just be more smooth because there's more muscle pulling outward. Go in and define some of these nails in the front as well. I don't really know what parasaur nails look like. It's kind of going generic for now. I can come back into it later. I'm ready to think about it more anatomically. When you've got a couple hours to sculpt, it's best to just hit everything. I know I don't want this to be a scary creature, so I'm keeping those nails kind of rounded for now. Cool, cool. You may notice that there's some variation in the depth now, so I can go to my Trim Adaptive Brush, TA, just tap that, and it will unify all of those. Do that again, TA. Quick way to flatten the bottom again. Kind of adjusting the anatomy on the fly. A lot easier once I can see these lines for which way things are flowing. Exercising those concept muscles. But not getting caught up in it. Let's see if we got any more questions rolling in. All right, let's see. Let's see here. Yeah, Stephen confirming he's Walt Disney Imagineering. Beastback, please show. I have a second question. Show me the 3D printer each you use for 3D printing models. Yeah, you can see the printers kind of in the view behind me. There's the Form 2, and there's the Raise 3D and 2 Plus. Those are my main two machines. What else? Phil Ray saying this character looking very nice. Thank you, Phil. Let's see. Hi from 3D Space. What's up? Kurt saying might want to put that left knee out a smug. Let's see. So his left or my left? That's his right, his left. Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I kind of like the flow of this kind of buckling knee thing. If I pull it out a bit, it's more stable. It's just, it doesn't look as flowy. Just a smidge. Can't hurt. And also come in here and do some pinching. Yeah, much easier to see a lot of this stuff without color information distracting you. And so come in and adjust the way I want. The upper crest to read. And move some of that around. Come back in with Dam Standard. But I've noticed Dam Standard is always kind of a two-part process. First, you've got to go in and define what it is you want to cut into. Then you've got to come in and pull out the parts that you want raised. Same thing on the other side. There we go. Dynamesh again. Smooth out some of those wrinkles that we don't need up at the top. Just keep hitting that shape. I'm sorry, saying, are you going to get a Form 3 or Form 3L? That's to be determined. The Form 3L is a lot more money, so if I can sustain a business with it, then I'll get that. Otherwise, I might just settle for a 3. Sisterman Alexandra Awana on Facebook. Aiman, you have super cool projects. I love what you do. Wish I could be a part of it. Thank you so much. I don't know. It's really about putting in the time, I guess. A lot of people have much cooler projects than I do, and unfortunately, a lot of them can't talk about it. And I can't talk about a lot of the really cool projects that I'm on until it's many years later. But I'm always looking for artists to help me out when the shit hits the fan. So yeah, keep in touch and let me see your portfolio often, and if I need some help, you'll be one of the first few people I contact. I always try to hire my friends when I get overwhelmed. And hopefully they remember that and can get me hired when I need it too, because that's definitely going to happen. But honestly, it's not really about work and industry all the time. Sometimes it's about just doing what you want. So what's stopping you from doing the kinds of projects that you want to do? I learned a little while back that there's no such thing as a dream job, and that if there's something you really want to make, if you want to see this in the world, then you should just do it. Don't wait for anyone to hire you to do what you want. Okay. Alright, I could keep tweaking details forever, but let's go ahead and add on some of these spots. Actually, before I do that, let's turn the colorize back on too. Let's see if there's any last minute changes we want to make. Let's color it all up. I wish I could be as fast at this stuff as Shane Olsen is. He's putting a lot more time. You should definitely check out his streams, I believe on Mondays. And he goes into... He's just got a lot more speed. Okay, cool. I'm going to extend that sharpening up into the head as well. Kind of H-polish sides of the heads a little bit more. Pull this neck out a bit. Use that pinch tool again. Sharpen them creases. Alright, it's 11:55 right now. Don't know how much time I'll have to color this and get a good render or shot out, but I do want to do a comparison with the young and old. So I'm going to take like a few minutes to do that. Not young and old, just young and older. Take a pause on the sculpting and then mess with a little bit of the coloring. So let's save. Okay. Let's go to colorize, turn that back on, and skin shade. I'm on the right material. Colorize is gone. That's strange. Oh, you know what? The Dynamesh probably did that. Once you Dynamesh, you kind of lose some color information. But it's good to see where we came from. That's how it started, and that's how far we got. I'll have to recolor this, add in more of those white dots up at the top, and do a comparison with the younger paradots. So I think that'll be good to see. And at least can start. Wonder if there's a way to prevent Dynamesh from destroying color information. I'll have to look into that. Give him some chest cavity back. His arms are a bit too close together. Want this one to be a lot softer, so I'll change alphas. There we go, much better. Get that dark burnt tone in there. Start painting that into the occluded areas of the model. And the areas that would be in shadow. It's good to have this little baby one around so I can pick the colors that I want and just add them in again. Hmm. And one thing I can do quickly in order to add the rest of those white spots up at the top is something fun in ZBrush you can do, that you can sculpt and paint at the same time. You can do a little bit of that as well. What I mean by that is, say I switch to my clay brush just by pressing C and switch to white, turn on Z add and MRGB, and I should be able to add those little white dots back in and sculpt them at the same time. For some of them I have a bit of a advantage because I have the reference in my model. But the other parts I'll need to improv. And continue that along the back. Whoop. It's starting to feel a lot like the same character, just older. And that's what we were going for. And you can always turn off Z-Add if you want to just focus on color. Alright, well, I'm going to keep working on this guy, but no reason to keep y'all in suspense. You'll see when it's all done. And you can follow me online at Aiman Akhtar 3D on Instagram, and you'll see more of my work up there. Get some of the whites back in here as well. Some highlights. Kind of draw attention to where we want the attention to go. Alright, well, thank you guys all for joining. Elastic cheeks indeed. Let's see. Could you duplicate the model, Dynamesh, and project the color back onto it? Yeah, I could, but it's a very different model, so it wouldn't have worked as well. Okay, cool. So, as I was saying before, if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Aiman Akhtar 3D on Instagram. Thanks again for joining. If you want to see next time, I'll be on pretty much at this time. I'm going to try to do that throughout April. So stay tuned, and I'll see you all around. Let's see. All right. Laters.